Welcome to Tutorial Tuesday, people. Today we are going to be decoupaging a napkin onto some glass. I picked these up from Dollar Tree. You can use whatever type of glass you want. The technique will vary depending on the napkins you use, along with the type of glass you use. If you're using a flat piece of glass or a more rounded one, obviously it's going to vary with your results. I wanted something extremely curvy for this because I really wanted to give you guys an idea of how difficult or easy it is with something this voluptuous compared to something that was a little bit more, let's say, you know, just a side, or if it was just round. So I really wanted to just also give tips on that as we're doing something a little bit more curvy versus just keeping a flat surface like using a glass frame. And now it's time for my little repetitive spiel. If this is your first Tutorial Tuesday, welcome. This really just gives me an opportunity to kind of slow things down. On Fridays, I do my DIYs, and sometimes those videos are a little bit more fast-paced, and these allow me to just kind of step-by-step chill, do whatever, give more instructions, answer more comments to help you guys on your DIY journey. For this particular project, it has been requested, and I wanted to make sure that I give you two examples because I have two examples for this to be able to help you create two different looks. There are more ways to decoupage on glass than just this, and whenever I'm doing instructions like this, please keep in mind it is not the end all be all of decoupage. There are many amazing creators and talented people in this niche that have their own style and creative way of doing things. When you come onto my channel, it is just me expressing how I do them and sharing what I've learned with you, how I do it. You should start off with a good scrubbing. So clean these suckers up and then dry them off, and then take some alcohol. And if you got the little, you know, the little packets that you can buy, and then you go right ahead. I have this stuff on standby right here. This is like when my kids come in with boo-boos, and then I'm just over here. I'm like, hold on a minute. And I'm like squirting them to death with it. Like, I just got this stuff sitting here. So you can just, there's, you know, fingerprints, whatever. Just make sure your glass is clean. You know, clean it however. I'm just telling y'all what I do. I did not give this a little scrub over in the sink because I just got it from the store. But if you're using, like, let's say, I don't know, like an old jar from, like a pickle jar or something like that, clean it, you know, make sure it's all fresh and ready for your paints. So there are, now I've done a lot of decoupage on the channel, and we can do another tutorial. This is just going to go over these two ways. But for this one, we are going to be painting both of these white with chalk paints. Now, the two different techniques I'm going to show you, one is going to be a full napkin decoupage, and the other one is going to be a piece decoupage. First, I'm just going to slap some chalk paint on here. But before I do that, because you're here for my information, I'm going to show you why it's easier to do chalk paint than acrylic paint. Okay, so we got just white paint both here. And then I'm going to show you why it's easier to dab it on than brush it on. So let me get my scissors I got going on. Cut a little bit of sponge. Okay. And then you guys, you can use paintbrushes, but I'm going to show you why I'm using the sponge in just a second. So here's paintbrush, and we're going to do acrylic paint first. Just going to kind of squirt some on this table here. Can't hurt nothing at this point. It's a hot mess down here. Ooh, look at that. What the hell just came out of there? Oh, I can't. I ain't having it. I'm having one of them days, people. Okay. Listen, this one first. So here's what acrylic paint's going to do when you use it with a paintbrush. And you'll pretty much get the same resolve if you're using the chalk paint as well. Has the streaks in it, okay? But if we're going to use some chalk paint, all right, don't you don't have to be like greedy with it. You know what I mean? Put a voluptuous amount on. That's my word today, voluptuous. If you got one of them little pounce things, should I close this? We're going to close that. Pop that over there. All right. If you got one of them little pounce things, that'll work too. But the chalk paint, boop, 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 and just blot it. And it's going to just give you good coverage from the jump. You're not going to have a whole bunch of streaks. And this will dry pretty level and pretty quickly. And it'll give you a solid coverage as opposed to, oh, see how this is drying and it's really streaky? So I'm going to kind of stop this for a second, let these dry, and then I'll let you check them out. I'm not going to do anything to them. So see this? I'm just going to pause the camera. Right now, it's hard to tell this, but I'm going to show you something. See this? Watch, I'm going to put my finger on it. My thumb, it's dry. Ready? That's how easy it is to remove acrylic paint. If you didn't know, now you know. Acrylic paint does not bond really well to glass. If you're going to use acrylic paint on glass, a good idea, and I learned this from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs, she actually puts a sealer on these first and then she paints them, okay? But with chalk paint, you don't have to do that. The same pressure is not coming off. Now, if I use my nail, it's going to come off, but not like it is with the finger. It just doesn't remove it like this. So if you're going to decoupage onto acrylic paint that's on glass, guess what's going to happen the second you start dropping your Mod Podge on there? That shit's going to peel off. You know what I'm saying? So save yourself the aggravation. Do not use the acrylic paints and use chalk paint when you're doing glass. Now, I actually do have glass-friendly paint that I use often. I'm not doing it here because I ain't got a white, like, I have to do several layers for that to really turn out well. And we ain't playing that game today. So we're just going to dab on here with our sponge, and any sponge will do. These are little sponges I get in a pack from Walmart. They are nothing fancy schmancy. Everything is budget friendly. I wanted you guys to be able to recreate this shit at home without having to spend a bunch of money to be able to do it. So we're using regular Waverly's chalk paint. You can pick that up, right? Regular wavy chalk paint, wavy chalk paint. And then sponges from Walmart and a piece of glass from Dollar Tree. All right, and you get whatever napkins you want. So I'm going to do this off camera to save you all time because we're probably already 4 minutes into this video, and then we're going to get to the decoupage. Once your first coat is dry, you have two choices. You can come back in with your sponge and you can do another coat because, as you can see, we need another coat on here. Or you can bring in the paintbrush because now that we have a layer of this on here, you're not going to see streaks all over the place. And then we're going to give it a fine sand. And in the event that you are one of the people I get in my comments and you're over here like, why do we even need to paint it? Let me educate you. So here's the deal. These napkins are going to look extremely translucent on plain glass. If you want the decoration to pop out on them, you're going to need to have a nice flat white base or a flat plaster color, antique white, something that is going to allow the color and the print to pop out. Painting them is going to do that. I have absolutely just decoupaged on flat glass before. I'll be right back and I'll show you a piece. This is going to give you the ability to kind of see through your candle. I use this technique in the event that you want to put like a little light in here, a little LED candle, something to allow the color to kind of pop through and bring out your napkin a little bit. But if you're not going for that look in terms of allowing something to pop through, I definitely do not recommend not painting your glass. Paint the glass. Paint it up. Get that color on there so our napkin can pop out. And look, there's no more streaks. So that's another reason I like to dab, 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 tappity, tap, tap, tap. And then paint, 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 paint. And it's going to be really nice. We're going to take a really high grit sandpaper, go over this gently one time, wipe away all the crusty bits, and decoupage it up. I also want to point out most of what I told you about the paint is on here for painting glass. I didn't know that until just this second, to be honest with you. I was like, wonder what these directions say. Now this says wait 2 hours in between coats. It also says use 150 to 100, 800 grit. I don't agree with neither one of them. I actually feel like this should wait 3 to 4 hours between coats, and you shouldn't bother to decoupage it until the next day. The reason why is because chalk paint naturally cures on its own with time. And after about 30 days, if you have a piece of wood or you have a piece of glass and you let that stuff sit for about 30 days, this shit is so fabulous and smooth and nice, and you can put things on it, and it's just, I still seal stuff, but I did I used to have a Try a Tuesday series on my channel, and I tested out paints in X, Y, and Z, and this is just stuff that I learned from dabbling in randomness. But the other thing I don't agree with is the 150 to 180 grit. I feel like that is too coarse. I mean, maybe that's just me, but I am a huge fan of 400 grit with things like this. I just don't feel fuzzy inside using that low. I want this to be buttery smooth. And I mean, honestly, these crusty bits, I feel like see this? I feel like if I use a higher grit sandpaper with the 150, 180, I think that's going to just actually come chunking out there. And I could be completely wrong. You know what I mean? I'm just, again, telling y'all my opinion on it. And I think, you know, higher grit sandpaper for something like this with glass. In my opinion, if you're going to use tools to decoupage, you're going to want to use cling wrap. And you're going to want to use a sponge. Don't be trying to use no iron on method on the glass, okay? I don't recommend that. I think it's a bad idea. And you can use whatever. These, you know, either one of these would be fine. If you got this has an actual napkin. I have not got a hold of that yet. Surprisingly enough, I have not. So I'm going to use 2 different napkins. This one is going to be our little spring bunny we have going on here, a little Easter one. And this one we're going to piece. Okay, I'm going to do that last. We're going to use this one first, and we're going to do the whole thing. Okay, so first things first, you just get your sneaky layers off of your napkin. If you're not sure, there are a couple ways you can do this. I like tearing a corner. It instantly reveals the extra little layers if you don't drop the napkin like I just did. And you just pull it off. If you don't want to do that because you want to start from the edge, put a little Mod Podge in between 2 fingers, or you can take a piece of painter's tape, put it on the corner, one on each side, and just pull them apart, and it will also peel your pieces off. All right, now that we got our top layer here, we're just going to go ahead and get at it. Now, when I'm doing decoupage on a napkin, my favorite little saying is less is more, okay? I never oversaturate my napkins because they're going to stick instantly. They're porous, which is another reason why I like to use these. In the event that I have a spot with too much Mod Podge, this is dry. It's not a wet sponge. It's a dry sponge. As I'm applying pressure onto it, any Mod Podge that is popping through this napkin, it's going to instantly go on this sponge. I actually had a comment asking what do I do when my sponge gets hard. Well, the sponge will start to get hard because the Mod Podge gets up in there. It was such a great question. I'm like, you know, I've never talked about that. Well, when you start seeing me cut up little sponge pieces to paint, that's my old sponges. Waste not, want not. So I start cutting up the sponges that are filled with Mod Podge. They start getting a little hard to use, but they make great little tappity tap tap tappers. You know what I'm saying? I like to use fan brushes a lot of times when I'm doing napkins as well. And I actually have my other one sitting in cleaner right now for my Dollar Tree video I'm about to start working on because I think I'm going to use them for all those new... Did y'all see how much money I spent at Dollar Tree on the browsing channel recently? Oh my gosh. If you guys follow me on there, I got out of control. I blacked out in Dollar Tree. I was like, I just came in here for some wood pallets. And I got it to register and it was like $46. I'm like, hold on a minute. What happened? Somebody took the wheel. Somebody. Oh, it was not good. I was, oof. But we're going to make some projects out of that stuff. Anyhow. So really, since we're doing the whole napkin, you can't go wrong with this. Pick a spot, people. Pick a spot. And then just start lathering it up. I'm happy with the amount I just put on there. So I'm just going to bring our napkin over and we'll use the cling wrap first. Okay. You just use it to press on down and it gets them bubbles out. Crafty Kathy loves this method. Y'all watch Crafty Kathy? It's my girl. She loves using her cling wrap, especially when she does glass. Y'all see them window pieces she does? Oh my God, they're gorgeous. Absolutely love them. Absolutely love them. So that turns out beautiful. And then you're going to just keep going. Just keep adding your Mod Podge. And most of the worst part of this, if I'm being honest, is your prep, is the painting, is the waiting. And that's, I love glass. I love decoupaging anything really. But when you're doing stuff like this, which is another reason why you probably don't see me painting on jars. I learned early on in the DIY game that to really do this well, and especially because I am a vendor and I sell a lot of things that I make, I can't just have glass pieces sitting all over my house. So I try to make them really nice and really well so this way they sell good and they hold for a long time. Now we're going to use this. So as you can see with the sponge versus that, we have a little bit of wrinkles, right? So no big deal. Take your cling wrap, come on in here. And like I said, there are two ways, in my opinion, if you're going to do something curvy like this, cling wrap and the sponge, because what the sponge doesn't curve, the cling wrap's going to fix for you. Oh, back to my glass story. It was story time. What was I saying? I was saying that one of the reasons you don't see me doing the glass a lot on this channel is because it takes time to make really nice pieces so that way they hold up, and make sure your coats of paint are really nice. And you want to make sure that whoever you're selling the product to, they come back, right? Especially if you're doing things at a vendor space and they frequent them, you want them to want to purchase your product because it lasted a long time. Well, people, I'm here to tell you, if you wing stuff like this, that paint, it's going to pop off as you're trying to put this Mod Podge on. I know, because I've had it happen. So you want to make sure that as you're doing it, you're waiting them dry times. And y'all, I love y'all, but I can't pop out content. Like, I can't do it fast enough, you know what I'm saying, to be able to keep up with the time for the drying and things like that. So I don't do a lot of glass because I don't have a huge amount of storage spaces to pop glass pieces that I DIY. Now I do have my wood stuff goes really well and sells well, so it's just easy. But that's why y'all don't see me doing a ton of glass pieces, because I don't know what to do with it. Because if I'm making it just to show it, I am doing it quick and I don't trust it to sell to somebody else. You know what I mean? And that's just who my character is, I guess. All right. Yeah, let's see. You just go along. And then once you get this completely covered, you're going to put a nice healthy coat of it on here. So I'm just going to finish this up off camera because, I mean, honestly, it's the same process over and over. I'm going to let this dry off to the sides so we can shave down. But look at this. Seriously, it looks like an old Victorian vase. You can add your distressing in there. You can take some wax over it if you want. I'm not touching it. Again, we're just here to decoupage on some glass. Next, we're going to do this. We're going to piece it. Look how cute this little guy is. It's going to look so cute on my little face. I'm excited about this. I'm not excited about how much. Why is there so much napkin left over there? Now, I did just rip it. If you're one of those people that like cutting it, cut it. You know, don't harass me in the comments. Be like, why don't you cut it? Just cut your napkin, people. Worry about me ripping my napkin. I like to rip my napkins. God, start giving me a hard time. I love y'all. Love me back. Jeez. Hostility. All right, so what is going on? Seriously? All right. That's enough. Napkin. I've had it. All right, here we go. Let's put our little guy on here. And I'm going to do the same thing, but only we're going to be just putting the Mod Podge in. I do this all the time in my regular content whenever I'm doing the DIYs. So I have absolutely no problem going over this step by step right here for all of you. Again, less is more. Do a little stripey stripe. And you can do this one of two ways. Find the center of the napkin and then apply, or top down or bottom up, you know, or one of how many ever. Whatever, you guys picking what I'm putting down, right? You guys are picking it up. So I'm starting in the center here, and I'm just taking my finger and I'm just rolling it up and pushing it out. There we go. And honestly, let me be honest, okay? I feel like doing this piece by piece gives the most flawless look on curvy, voluptuous surfaces like this. It gives just the best finish to me, as opposed to using a whole piece. Now, if you want, with that, you can also cut as you go. I don't mind doing that when I need to, but I really like piecing it. I mean, look how flippin' flawless that is. It's so, look at that. There's like nothing going on there. Just a little bit of Mod Podge, and then tappity tap and a little rubby rub. Tappity tap and a little rubby rub. And down it goes. And I'm just going to continue this method right here for the rest of the process. Here is our final little result. I absolutely love how this turns out. If you want to come in, blot some paint around, blend it, you're more than welcome. It's actually pretty flawless. I thought we were going to have to do some blending with the white, but we really don't. It looks perfect just like that. I'm going to show you guys why I love fan brushes. Now, if you're new here, you have probably never heard this tip. And if you're not new here, you've heard this. But I'm going on a tutorial, you know, and we have to make sure that everybody knows everything all at the same pace, all right? One of the things I love about fan brushes is you can go around the edge of your napkin and it will pick up, see that? It's going to pick up anything that is not Mod Podge down. And these are so flippin' thin. That's why I love these. So I literally just take this fan brush and go, look at that. You can tell when there's a hole. It's the tiniest little hole. Only I will ever know it's there. But I gotta make sure that they're all down. And I love telling people this. I do this especially on furniture pieces. Because look at that. Look how that wasn't in there. And since you got Mod Podge on the edge of this, it squeezes right in that napkin and allows you to just kind of press it on down. So as you come back, it is in there. And then you'll let this dry. You come back and you do another test run. Usually it only takes me doing this the one time, but in the event, you know, just to let you know, sometimes you need 2 passes, but it's important to let it dry so this way you can come back in and see what else squeezes under it. You know what I mean? This is beautiful. That's going to be it for this Tutorial Tuesday, people. I hope you guys got some valuable information about decoupaging on glass, or you just enjoyed hanging out with me today. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these pieces, and until next time, bye!